We're live, everybody. We're back. We got Dame Daniels. It's your boy DEA 4831. Stevie Ray on here.
What's good? What's good?
And we're back with episode 3. Now, this one goes back in the day. We got Dame Daniels from the 831. Been making big moves. Been doing a lot of stuff. And over the years, I've seen him go from just repping that King City out to the ATL and just making every move in between. So it's a lot of stuff I personally don't know, so I kind of just want to pick your brain, Dame, and kind of get to know. But before we do that, we like to start off the episode with a bit of an icebreaker to just kind of get the juices flowing, so to speak.
Right.
And so, all right, let me see. All right, so this is gonna be a good one. Okay, so it's a zombie apocalypse, right? It's coming. So the zombie apocalypse is coming. Who are 3 people you want on your team? Now, this doesn't have to be your homies. This doesn't have to be this could be anybody. Like, it could be like comic book. It could be superhero movies, Terminator, whatever. You know what I mean? Freddy Krueger.
Man.
Like, all right, so zombie apocalypse, 3
Who's the
people.
squad?
Who's on your team?
Who's the squad?
Shit, I'll probably get I'll probably get the Punisher.
The
You know what I'm
Punisher.
saying? Frank Castle.
Frank Castle.
You know what I'm
There you
saying?
go,
Like,
Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray's a big comic book fan.
Okay, yeah, I get Punisher. You know what I'm saying? I might I might run with Rambo, John Rambo.
No
you know what I'm
shit,
saying?
yeah.
You got Rambo, Punisher.
Yeah.
Hey,
You know
definitely
what
got
I'm
the
saying? I need
someone
someone
with
artillery.
brains, you feel me? So we're gonna do Mr. Fantastic.
All right. What do you think about those ones, Stevie Ray?
Yeah, those are slick, bro. You got it from all angles. You know what I mean?
Yup.
Hey, well, let's do a little twist since we got all 3 of us. How about you, Stevie Ray? If you had to pick 3 people off the top,
Off the top, shit. Off the rip.
and then bust a freestyle. Nah, I'm joking.
Nah, this motherfucker. Nah, shit. Okay, I'm gonna hit him with Dr. Doom again, and then
Yep.
let's see. Shit, John Wick maybe, bro. John Wick on that crazy shit right now.
Damn, John Wick.
There you go.
And then shit. Okay, what number 3? Number 3, I might hit him with a weird one. I'm gonna hit him with Conan, bro.
Okay, that's
Nah, man, 'cause
okay.
we gonna run out of
That's
bullets
interesting.
eventually. You feel me?
Hey, Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, from the 80s though.
Yeah,
the
from
80s version?
bro. Yep.
All right. Well, I'll just chime in real quick. I'll go with
Who you got?
Terminator.
Who you got, bro?
I'll go Freddy Krueger, and I'll go last but not least. Let me see. Just for fun, I'll have Eddie Murphy.
That's crazy.
You're
Hey,
like,
you can
you're
bust
for
jokes,
sure
though,
dead,
you know what I
bro.
mean?
I'm like, I'll take my chances with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because think about it. You're going to have some entertainment throughout the
Exactly.
ordeal, right?
It's a zombie apocalypse, you know what I mean?
All right, for sure. Well, anyways, as we're getting on here, it's telling Dame that it's an honor to have him on here.
No
and
doubt.
he's been repping since, how long you been in the game for?
Man, originally started out in 1998. You know what I mean? I
98?
was in King City. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? If the viewers that, are aware of King City, it's South Monterey County. You know what I'm saying? So it really started from there. Started out with like really kind of like just a love for it. You get what I'm saying? Because originally I wasn't trying to be a rapper. I was actually trying to be a DJ.
Yeah.
And at the time, you know what I'm saying, we had a lot of the freestyle music was really jumping at the time. And you know what I mean? We was, K-Don was still doing his thing or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But, like I was always infatuated with the DJs, you know what I'm saying? So that's really where it got started. You know what I mean? It really just didn't, I really wasn't performing or doing any of that stuff until I got to Atlanta, but we can get into that a little later. But
Yeah.
I really didn't start recording music up until 2001, going into 2002. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I really started recording and laying my stuff down around that time.
Taking it serious, yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. And so let's go back a little bit. So it started in King City. So are you originally like born and raised from King City?
Originally, no. I was actually born in Salinas, you know what I mean?
831?
Salinas, California. So originally, my mom and dad, you know what I mean? They were actually both from San Jose, both from the east side to be exact.
San Ho?
Yeah. So, my mother actually lives with mental retardation. And my father was actually, God rest his soul, you know what I mean? He was actually a functioning dope fiend at the time, you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So the reason why I was actually born in Salinas is because due to domestic violence situation. So make a long
Gotcha.
story short, you know what I mean? I was ended up born at Me Memorial. So within the first 7 weeks of my life, one of my aunties ended up taking me to a social security office and ended up leaving me there. And I didn't see him again for another 30 years. You know
Crazy.
what I'm
Damn.
saying? So
I never knew
that's
that,
really
bro.
where it started. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I never knew that. And I guess, that's definitely some extreme, I guess, childhood stuff
Yeah.
to
You see,
talk
the thing
about. You know what I
is
mean?
that like I always tell people, right, when I actually, if I got to compare my life to a song, it would be Brenda's Got a Baby by
Yeah.
Tupac, but I
Oh,
was
yeah.
the baby.
Classic.
You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Damn.
yeah. I can see
Yeah.
where
So
you're going with that. Yeah.
So
right.
your story actually, like for example, we started these episodes with Stevie Ray and myself interviewing each other. And
Hmm.
so our stories kind of started off like in our childhood, like elementary. Yours
Hmm.
starts like from birth, bro.
From birth.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so
So I was, and even with that being said, you know what I mean? I was actually born with a different name. My original name was Manuel John Hernandez, but
Crazy.
my name now is obviously Daniel because that's part of my stage name and whatnot. But it was very difficult. You know what I mean? Because at the time, my auntie, she I just found out years later that she suffered from schizophrenia. So the thing about it is that she made it to where she didn't want to meet my adopted family for one, and then two, you know what I'm saying? My mother, like I said, she had mental disabilities. My auntie was her power of attorney, so she was making the decisions for her. So, basically, like my social worker at the time, you know what I'm saying? I actually found out more about myself when I was like 23. I was already in Atlanta doing my thing or whatnot, you know what I'm saying? And, that's when I started like understanding myself a lot more, you know what I mean? And due to the fact that I was actually born with a different name, you know what I mean? It did affect me a lot, long term, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It did make, I did have to seek therapy for it, which is not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of different. You know what I'm saying? You born with a different name. You go by a whole different one. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it's kind of like, damn, who am I? You know
It's
what
a
I
lot
mean?
to take in.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in.
Exactly. As a kid.
Yeah, well, I just want to say as far as getting you mentioned therapy, that I know
Hmm.
that there's a stigma, especially for I want to say men, to not be able to talk openly about their feelings and whatnot.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think even for myself, I have trouble with that. So I just want to point out for our viewers is that,
Right.
any of this stuff you're going through is like, you're not alone and that there are people out there that can help us and that, and it is worth
Absolutely.
getting that sort of help to help us become the best versions of ourselves.
Right.
And
No
this
doubt.
is deep, bro.
100%, man.
I honestly
100%.
didn't know any of this. So I
We went
appreciate
right
you
into it.
even,
You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate you sharing this with us
Oh,
because,
good.
For sure, man.
I
For
could
sure.
only I couldn't even imagine, going through that. And it sounds like throughout the years you kind of discovered and try to unravel this mystery,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
so to speak.
Basically, for a long time it was kind of mind blowing to me because I didn't know about me in my adoption until I was about 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't really know what my mom and dad's name was until I was 15. And then about when I was 18, that's when I knew who my older sister was. And I didn't really find anyone because I found my dad's side, first in 2017, and I was living in Arizona at the time. And make a long story short, my dad, he was already so messed up, on the drugs, through drug abuse and things of that nature. You know what I mean? He developed a drug induced schizophrenia. So he was already paranoid. He was a paranoid schizo in San Jose, and his name was Junior Galindo. And he was homeless. You know what I'm saying? He was a basketball star. In San Jose. You know what I mean? And drugs just messed him up. You know what I'm saying? And he ultimately ended up passing away altogether.
Sorry to
Well,
hear that, man.
RIP.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And I see that recently I seen you post some sort of, I don't know, was it an album dedicated as far as like the title or a
Are you
song?
talking about the son of Junior?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually a project that I did back in 2020. And that was the project that I did that I named after him. And that was probably one of my biggest projects I've ever done. It's actually about last I checked, it was about 3.2 million streams. Yeah, yeah. So that really got me in the door. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking like it got, one of the songs that I got on the project is called Bounce Back, and that was the record that I got on No Jumper with. Uh, Dizzler posted the video on their YouTube. No, it was a different song, but they ended up, you know what I mean, showing some love or whatnot. But yeah, that was my first project that I ever did, man, and it was very successful, and it was even better because it was during the pandemic. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I put the project out
Gotcha.
when everyone's inside and got nothing else to do and things like that. So I kind of took advantage of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
That's what's up, man.
And so did you ever get any sort of relationship with your biological parents then?
Mm. But my father, not necessarily. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It was really kind of bittersweet, you know what I mean? Because when I talked to him, his teeth was missing, you know what I mean? He looked just completely out of it, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I'm sitting here and just trying, hey, what's up, man? Man, it's been, it's an honor to talk to you, man. And basically he was just so out of it, bro. And I just, and he was just trying to keep a straight face, and he just looked so defeated, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
The second time I actually FaceTimed him, and I FaceTimed him again, and he was kind of like, he was a little more upbeat, and he
Yeah.
he figured out I was an artist, and he was like, hey, so because he called me by my birth name, he called me Manuel. He refused to call me by my name now, Daniel. So he was just like, hey, Manuel, I heard that you a rap artist now. I was like, yeah, yeah, I do a little something. Yeah, I've seen some of your music, man. I'm really happy for you, man, that you really doing this. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, all right, you know what I mean? I really appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? And around that time when I spoke to him, I was actually working on the Son of Junior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to surprise him. And the crazy part about it is that towards the end of his life, and shout out to my cousin Ronald, you know what I mean? He's from San Jose as well. He basically told me, he was like, "Yo, man, I had one conversation with your father, and he was just telling me how proud he was of you, man, and he was finally like, accepting the fact that you're back around. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and right around the time when I was ready to kind of like give him another chance, you know what I'm saying? I find out he passed away. I actually didn't find out that he passed away till because he passed away last January. I didn't find out till he passed away till that July. So I
Yeah.
didn't find out anything about his death or anything like that till like 7 months later.
Yeah.
Jesus. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, man.
You got that though, man. It's cool that he was able to let you know that he was proud
Yeah.
of you. You know what I mean? That's
Oh
nice,
yeah,
man.
man. For sure.
Yeah, but that's often a reminder too
Right.
that life is short, life is
Yeah, man.
precious, and
100%.
you just gotta live every day to the fullest. Period.
Exactly.
At some point, you end up living in King City. And so how was that growing up in King City?
Well, King City, it's a very small town. You know what I'm saying? I know throughout the years that it actually grew in population. And when I was there, we had probably like a population of maybe 10,000. You know what I'm saying? And like I always say, man, there ain't nothing else to do other than sell dope, gang bang, and do drugs. You feel me? But
Yeah.
like I always say, like I always tell people, man, what really kind of, motivated me was because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really want to be in Monterey County. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
I was like, yo, I want something bigger. I want something better. I want to be able to make a name for myself, whatever it is. Because I was in sports for a while, you know what I'm saying? Just whatever. So when I started doing the music and I started, linking up with Elo and J Mac and them guys, over at Project Pleasure, and even you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Basically it was kind of like I was trying to figure it out, you know what I'm saying? Because there was absolutely no resources where I was at, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So around the time when I started getting more serious into it, you know what I'm saying? Discovered the internet, you know what I mean? Around that time, I decided to say, you know what? Like I'm in King City, people are not like really paying attention or even understanding what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to hit different cities, because at the time everyone was putting out music in the Bay because that was the closest that we was at. We were at the time demographically. But on the flip side, you know what I'm saying, we also can go over to the other side of the valley, go over to the 209, 559, Kalinga, drop off CDs, do what we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the time I was 14, 13 years old. You know what I'm saying? So my resources was
Yeah.
limited. You know what I'm saying? So it got to the point where it was like, I had to basically take whatever that, I basically had to take whatever whatever I know you know what I mean, from King City, from being a little street hustler, you know what I mean, and an ex dope boy, you know what I'm saying, and just take that into my music and then just kind of like see where I can go with it. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I had to realize years later that this music game is no different than the dope game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, when I got, when I actually, but as far as King City goes, you know what I'm saying, it's very gang infested, but what part of Monterey County isn't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that with us, you know what I mean, there's a lot of sureños, you know what I'm saying? And, they don't really, like people outside of their kind. You get what I'm saying? So, make a long story short, I had to kind of like low key affiliate myself with, the Northerners. You get what I'm saying? Because, at the time when I was growing up in King City, I was constantly getting picked on by them. You know what I'm saying? So, like it was really for protection, to be honest with you. Do I consider myself a gang member? No. But what I do consider myself a hustler because that's how I came up. You see what I'm saying? But the
Yeah.
thing about it is that, leaving King City, I left King City in '01. You get what I'm saying? So, no, I left because when you met me, that was around the time I was going back and forth. You get what I'm saying? So I
From King
ultimately just
City
bounced
to Atlanta.
Atlanta. Yeah. Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
have
True.
and you have some there's an artist I remember you always talk about back then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's my guy, Greed. We still deal with each other. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
well, I think we'll get more on that, but sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, bro. But I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
that just popped in my head. So I remember that from back then.
Nah, you good. You good.
So
But
you
nah,
saying
when
in '01, that's around the time you're bouncing back and forth
I
from
was bouncing back and forth, you know what I mean? Mind you, I'm
yeah,
16, 17 at the time. This is when you guys met me. You get what I'm saying? So, I'm always going, when I first clicked up with Elo, in 2001, I'm telling him too, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm doing my thing in the A too. You know what I mean? Because at the time I was looking for a place to record at, you know what I mean? So I was trying to do something productive to not get myself caught up in the mix with the gang politics. You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
So, I was always around, but at the same time, you know what I mean? All my homies, all my childhood friends, you know what I'm saying? It was kind of like pick a side. You get what I'm saying? So that's how King City was.
There's no choice in lots of parts of Monterey County. You gotta just like
Exactly.
you don't necessarily have to gangbang, but you're gonna have to hang out with somebody. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's just the way it is.
What was it from Atlanta that was pulling you back and forth?
Basically, the reason I even was going to Atlanta because I always looked at it like, I want to be in a city where it's like people don't know what the hell the Sureño or Norteño is. You get what I'm saying? you
Yeah,
know but on the flip side, they got them too, but it's not as prevalent as it is in Monterey County. So now when I started going out there, you know what I mean, I met this dude, you know what I'm saying, by the name of H Greed, you know what I'm saying, and he was like really the only person I knew at the time.
yeah,
And he was really the one that kind of gave me the name Dame Daniels. You get what I'm saying? So he's from College Park in Georgia, and he got down, we sitting here just kind of collabing and putting stuff together, you know what I'm saying, and kind of doing the old fashioned way. And I'm sitting here putting a CD in and throwing it in the mail and sending it to him. You get what I'm saying? So that's how I
Gotcha.
was doing it at first. And it just got to the point where it was like, man, I was hustling so hard in Monterey County. You know what I'm saying? I ended up, like a lot of people trip out when I tell them this. I was about 16, 17 at the time when I bounced for the first time. But when I like ultimately left, I was like probably like 18, you know what I'm saying? And then goddamn, I left with like almost 50 bands. You know what I'm saying? And that was actually because I was hustling in South Monterey County so hard. You know what I'm saying? And I was sitting here, CDs, people buying them for $20, $30 a watt because they wanted to see me win. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And it was like, I was getting a lot of good, a lot of great feedback probably in, King City, Greenfield and Soledad, you know what I mean? That's all I needed to be at the time, you know what I'm saying? Because it was so close together. And, a lot of people from King City, they end up moving to Soledad, you know what I'm saying? Um, and so on and so forth, they also go to Greenfield as well. So word of mouth is the best promotion for me,
yeah.
at that time. You get what I'm saying? Until I started being like, you know what? I think it's time for me to go to Atlanta. But that was a whole nother beast when I got there, man.
Yeah, so definitely want to touch on that, but before we push a little bit further, I'm a little curious, like, what was kind of like your influence or inspiration? I know you mentioned that rap is kind of like the D-boy stuff, but what was kind of like the inspiration or like how you even like be like, oh, this is where I start rapping?
Well, it was like this, right? So I said this last night, matter of fact, on another podcast. Shout out to In the Kitchen podcast. So basically, around the time when Wu-Tang Clan put out Wu-Tang Forever. You know what I'm saying? There was a record on there called Triumph. You know what I mean? I'm
Classic.
pretty sure a lot of the Watt viewers know what I'm talking about by now. But there's a record called Triumph, right? So when I heard the first beginning part of it, of Inspector Deck, setting the whole record off, that fucked my head up. You know what I'm saying?
Is
So
that the bomb atomically?
Yeah,
yeah, I was like,
atomically,
hold
Socrates'
on, man. Like this
philosophies.
is hard, bro. Like, hold on now.
Yeah, and
then,
that and the effects on that video too. You know, back then we still had MTV, so that
Yeah,
that gained
yeah.
cracks
It
in
was the
time.
most expensive music video in hip hop.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Fun
Yeah,
fact.
it was. No, it was.
cost
Yeah.
over $1 million.
But that song, yeah, I know Stevie Ray's a big fan of Wu-Tang as well as myself.
Yeah, Inspector too. Yeah, I love Inspector too.
But yeah,
So that song came out, a bomb atomically, and then that was it.
Basically, it caught my attention, and
Yeah.
then you know, and then I started around the time before all that. We was kind of like really big on the Chicano rap. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm gonna be honest. You know what I mean? You know, it was a really big thing in King City when GUN first came out. You get what I'm saying? So when GUN first came out, like that caused a whole stir, especially in South Monterey County. You know what I'm saying? You know, it got so bad in Monterey County, like if you get like, let's say like the probation comes to your house or whatever the case may be, and they see like one of them gang related CDs, oh, you're gonna get violated on your probation. It's over with. You know, might as well go ahead and take that violation. You know what I mean? But when I was before the Wu-Tang, you know what I'm saying? I was steadily listening to Speedy Loke. I was steadily listening to Woody. I was steadily listening to, you know, a couple local guys. You know what I'm saying? Fucking Soup One, Dre Nitty, you know what I'm saying? I was you know, like whatever was around me, you know what I'm saying? I was listening to, you know what I mean? I wasn't really listening to a whole lot of Bay music, you know what I'm saying? It was really a lot of down south music, No Limit, Cash Money, you know what I'm saying? I'm a big C Murder fan. You know, I ended up being affiliated with True Records probably like years later when I met G De Niro, his right-hand man. We ended up doing music together years later, you know what I'm saying? C Murder actually is aware of who I am. You know what I mean? You know, then it just evolved, you know what I'm saying, to like Killer Mike, Outkast, you know what I'm saying, Goody Mob, Drama, you know, the guy who did Left Right Left back in the day.
Goody Mob.
That was
Goody
another
Mob,
guy.
say
You
your
know what I
shit
mean?
too.
The list goes on. But what really got me to want to start doing it seriously was when I started first listening to Tech Nine.
Yeah.
And you know, he had the album Angelic, and then he dropped Absolute Power. So that was it for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, how in the hell is he rapping like this? This is insane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you
Machine
know,
gun style.
yeah. So that's what really got me like really started on that. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, I started, okay, I'm gonna start figuring this out, you know what I mean? And then when I started initially recording and I met Elo, you know what I mean? I wasn't really necessarily rapping like that, but it just got me to the point where it was like, man, I just had infatuations of wordplay and, you know, bending words and things of that nature. Cause it got to the point where I was just so infatuated with words and all that. It got to the point where it was like I started reading the dictionary, and then I started taking the big words, and I'm like, man, let me see what I can rhyme with this. You feel me? But nah, but Tech Nine, he was really a big influence, you know, that really just said, you know what, let's get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Tech Nine's like your rapper's favorite rapper.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Tech
But-
Nine
And I
Savage.
got a crazy story with that too. When we talk about, you know what I'm saying, me linked in with Richie Evans, you know what I'm saying? His manager is actually Tech Nine's head of security.
Dope.
Crazy.
Dope.
Okay.
So you start going back and forth from Atlanta, and then you mentioned that H. Breed's the one who gave you the name Dame Daniels.
Yeah. So as far as you know, how I got the name. So when I was about, and I never said this on camera, and this is my first time really talking about it. So basically when I was about 16, 17, you know, we live fast, you know, in Monterey County, you know what I'm saying? There ain't shit to do, you know what I'm saying? So I ended up getting someone pregnant. So
Gotcha.
basically, this is around 2002, right? So basically, my I don't want to say my ex, I guess you can say, she ended up pregnant, and I didn't realize that she had a meth addiction. So basically, what happened is that the child that we were initially supposed to have ended up being a stillborn. Originally, the name was finna be Damon Daniel Hernandez. And basically, when I found out what happened, you know what I'm saying, my partner, H. Greed, You know what I'm saying? He just hit me one day and he was just like, man, dang, what's up, Dame Daniel? Dame Daniel, that sounds dope. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, maybe I should rap on it. You know what I'm saying? Because at first I
Yeah.
thought about it long and hard because originally, like, I was gonna go under this name Young Duke, right? But the only reason I didn't is because there's a Sureño hood called Duke Treces in King City. So the thing about it is that, you know, he ended up hitting me and he's just like, yo, Dame Daniel, I like that name, man, this and that. So I sat on it for like a month. And then, you know, I was just like, all right, cool, we're gonna run with it. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I told him the reason why we're gonna run with it, you know what I mean? Because I told him the same thing I'm telling you guys.
Yeah.
You know, he was just like, man, you just need to pay homage, this and that and the third with the whoop, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, cool. So, anyways, it became Dame Daniels after I did a freestyle for a DJ out in North Carolina for his mixtape called DJ Turk. And the way that he was announcing my name, man, shout out Dame Daniels, man. Shout out Dame Daniels. You already know what it is, man. Da, da, da. And I'm like, man, that sounds hard right there, man. So it's been Dame Daniels ever since 2002.
That's cool. So it evolved.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, I don't know if you watched the DJ Vlad. One of the guests on there was calling Vlad DJ Glad.
Crunchy Black.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like, but you know, it's like that kind of, when that happens, those names
I got a
stick.
cool story about Vlad too, but yeah. I like that.
So then eventually you're spending more and more time out there as opposed
Exactly.
to out from the 831, right?
Yeah. I'm in my mid-teens still. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even
Yeah.
18 yet. I'm not even
Just
old
trying to
enough to
make it.
perform.
When you're going out there, is you going out there predominantly to pursue your music career?
Nah,
Or
it was really to get away from the gangs and start really over all the way over, you know what I'm saying? Because the way I saw it was really like kind of like me just kind of like going to a place where nobody knows me, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how I was at first, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And then when I got to Atlanta originally, I was very culture shocked because you got to keep this in mind. I never left California before that. You know what I'm saying? Never been to LA, you know what I'm saying? I'd never went to Oakland. I never been to well, I've been to Oakland, but like, you know, kind of like drive passing by, going to a game or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
That don't count. You feel me? But
yeah,
you know, but nah, like I really wasn't very out there like that, you know what I'm saying, in regards to you know what I mean, like being all over California like I am like recently, you know what I'm saying? But you know, when I was in Atlanta though, you know what I mean, goes right around the corner, you know what I'm saying? You know, labels are right down the street, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, basically, that's really what it was, you know, at
You got
first,
more of
because
a
mind you,
chance.
like, huh?
You got more of a chance.
Yeah. I have
Bring
more resources to
resources.
figure
Yep.
this out. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what really got me interested to take it more serious when I got to Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Because man, I
yeah.
could do something with this.
But so now you're in Atlanta, and then you move out there because you kind of want it. Sounds like a fresh start, like
Yeah,
being a new environment, kind of leave the small town behind, and
yeah.
looking for bigger and better things. So here you are, you're in Atlanta now, and so like how'd that go?
I ended up getting there. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
basically it was kind of like, you know, it wasn't that hard, you know what I mean, because you know I was already looking for a place and everything like that, so on and so forth. So but as far as like, you know, the networking, it was a little difficult because everyone is a rapper, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Everyone is trying to get what you want to get, you know what I'm saying, you know, which is success, which is, you know, the next record to get played or whatever the case may be. That was really tough at first, you know what I mean? Because at the time, you know, every time that I went up to a venue, you know what I'm saying, and I was on stage, it was no different than 8 Mile. You know what I'm saying? When Eminem was in, you know, in the scene where he's, you know, performing, he's the only white guy, I'm the only Hispanic dude in there. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
literally, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
You gotta make
you
an
know,
impact.
exactly, you know, because that's how I look at it as it's all about the impact, the money's gonna follow. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Well, with that, did you ever have any times where you cracked under the pressure, so to speak?
I
And
did actually. I
yeah,
did, you know, because one of the things that I can honestly say that I did take to Atlanta with me that I should have acknowledged and addressed when I was actually in California was the drug addiction. And, you know, with that drug addiction, you know what I'm saying? Basically it started spiraling out of control. You know what I'm saying? I ended up going out there sober, quit, whatever, cold turkey. You know what I'm saying? So make a long story short, man, like it got pretty hectic. You know what I'm saying? So I ended up relapsing. I ended up losing everything, in like '07, '08. I was living in a place downtown, you know what I'm saying? And it went from like me starting over to, you know what I'm saying, me trying to figure out when my next meal's gonna be. You get what
Like
I'm
hitting
saying?
rock
And to
bottom
the
at that time?
I
Gotcha.
was really at the bottom. I was outside sleeping on trains bottom. You get what I'm saying? I literally
Yeah.
sold
Yeah.
everything I had, to get that next hit because I was really big on I was really big on Percocets at the time and Zans and instead of me popping them, I was snorting them. And the thing was is that, it got so severe to the point where it's like my family in Monterey County stopped picking up the phone. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, that's when I was just like, man, I finally hit rock bottom. You know what I'm saying? There was this, a lot of mental health issues that I was dealing with at the time. Addiction is a disease. I do believe that. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is that when it's all said and done, man, like I've always, I survived 2 suicide attempts in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? It got real ugly for a long time. You know what I mean? I was actually homeless for about 7 years in
Damn.
Atlanta. You know what I mean? I didn't go back to Monterey County. I didn't have nothing to do with Monterey County. Like it was just kind of like, man, this is it. You know what I mean? It just got to the point where I just was getting so depressed. I was just like, I was probably like maybe 23 at the time. I just had my son. My son is born in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? So basically you know what I mean? It got so point and I just got so overwhelmed to the point where it was like, man, I just started just overdoing it with drugs and I overdosed the first time. And then I was going into cardiac arrest in the back of an ambulance. I was rolling off 35 pills. I didn't sleep for like 4 days. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
Like I was really a functioning addict, and then just got stupid bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, so with that though, sober now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. 16 years.
16 years.
Crazy.
So
Off of everything, or
Everything.
you don't drink or smoke?
I don't even drink. Bro.
Crazy.
I
that's
just
that's
smoke
something.
weed. That's about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's something that Stephen Ray and I have talked about personally is
Right.
about struggling with, whether it be alcohol, drugs or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and how, being in denial and how that those addictions could really just hold us back in life, and how,
Absolutely.
once we break free
Absolutely.
from the shackles of addiction, it's like when we could become the best version of ourselves. So
You start
Absolutely.
opening your eyes, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Right.
so any of our viewers out there, if you're struggling, is there any tips you could have for people to help them, get sober, I guess, you know what I mean?
I always tell people this, you know what I mean? I have a few family members that actually go through the same struggle. If you can find that one mentor that's been there and done that, you know what I'm saying? It can actually give you the motivation and give you the strength and it give you the positive influence and being able to say, hey, I need to sober up. I need to be here for my kids or grandkids, whatever the case may be, or my family,
Yeah,
and that's really where it starts. You know what I mean? Because, at the end of the day, if you can admit that you have a problem, that's your first step to recovery, and that's for real.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure. You got to be able to admit it, or you know what I mean. You ain't gonna go nowhere with it.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And I would say, if even if you don't have like a family member, there's people out there that
Exactly.
that will that you could surround yourself with, that will be positive influences that won't help enable you to self-destruct them on that path too.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
Cause that shit is gonna hit you later on down the road with health
It
issues, man.
definitely will.
You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
gonna
for
hit you
sure.
hard.
And so from there, were you doing music during that time? Or like what were you doing during that time?
Being homeless, man. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Trying to survive. You feel me? Like I ended up in an area in Atlanta called Clarkston, which is on the east side of Atlanta. DeKalb County. So basically, that's where I was at on Brocker Road. And a lot of people in Atlanta, if they heard of Brocker Road, then they probably heard of the popular club Strokers. You know what I'm saying? So Atlanta's really known for like strip clubs and things like that. So at the time, I was actually saying, you know what, man, I'm finna trap. You feel me? So I got into, hustling and trying to get back on track. You know what I mean? Because I got sober in the end of 2009, going in 2010. So the thing was, is that from 2007 up until till then, I was on a straight binge. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the thing was, is that I wasn't thinking about no music. I wasn't doing any of that. I was just like, man, I just want to be around my son. He wasn't around at the time. His mom left. You know what I'm saying? And then, I was just like, man, I just got into a real bad depressed state. You know what I'm saying? And then, thankfully, my son's uncles were living with me at the time, and they ended up building their own studio. You know what I'm saying? Basically, they were just like, man, get in the studio, bro. You need to get all this depression out of you. Da, da, da. So they were just like, kind of like talking me into doing it again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when I started doing it again, it was nothing to what I was doing in Monterey County. I was doing auto-tune rap. I was rapping like Future. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to sound like Atlanta. You get what I'm saying? Whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, it was like, you know what? Like, I'm figuring out how to do this again. And it was crazy because, and I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about. I had to pitch in a lot. And the reason being my breathing was so bad. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't even drop 2 bars in single sentence. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
So
Yeah.
what I had to do was I had to pitch in bar for bar. You know what I'm saying? And that's not easy to do. You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
you say one line and then you say the other and then you say the other and then you say the other till you get to 16. You know what I
Yeah.
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
That's how
that's
I've
how
been
it was for me.
recording. That's how I've been recording because I don't write anything. So I just kind of
I
write it
seen you
as I
do
go.
that.
Yeah. But the challenge though to do that is to make it sound cohesive because when you're punching
Make
Exactly.
it
in
flow all the way
bar
through.
for
Yeah,
bar,
But I, I
sometimes
I was writing mine down though, you know what I mean? I just couldn't breathe, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Because at the time, like my breathing was bad, bro. It was
Yeah.
horrible, bro. Like I'm smoking like 2 packs of Newports a day type of bad, you know what I mean? So, I told myself ever since that happened, I was like, you know what? I gotta figure this out, you know what I'm saying? And then,
Yeah.
little like I just started like really kind of like still smoking, but not as much. You know what I'm saying? And then, I was like, man, I got to figure out why am I even doing this in the first place? You know what I mean? So I started going back and listening to Tech and started listening to Zero, Trade the Truth. I was listening to a lot of artists like that,
crooked.
Yellow Wolf, you know what I mean? Them guys. And then I'm like, man, and then what really built a lot of confidence for me, bro, is when I actually worked with Rich, not work with him, but I heard Rich for the first time. Rich, the white boy that has the crazy hair that was signed to Tech Nine, and he was actually from Atlanta, he's from the North Side, and he's just a white guy rapping like Twista, like holy shit, who is this dude? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what got me more motivation to be like, man, I could do this. You get what I'm saying? And I just
Yeah.
kept working on my pen game, working on my pen game. You know what I'm saying? And at the time too, when I actually was really trying to like really use this rap to survive, I would actually get a verse and I go on Brocky Road. There was a Chevron that, still up to this day. I'd be right over there and I'd be like, hey, you know what I'm saying? I used to rap for Spare Change. You know what I'm saying? I used to goddamn, you know what I mean? Hey man, I'm an artist, you know what I mean? Would you guys like to hear me rap? Da, da, da. I used to do that. You know what I mean? So I'll be in front of the gas station. I do that solely to feed and provide for my son at the time. You know what I mean? Because I had nothing. Like we was during a recession. No one was hiring. You know what I mean? I didn't have no job or any of that. You know what I mean? I was coming off drugs. I'm sitting here, you know what I mean? Going off drugs and going into an alcoholism. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, man, when does this end? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it was a hectic time.
Well, so is there, looking back at that time, is there anything specifically that was a turning point that made it go from after, being on drugs to being like, this is it, like this is the turning point in my life that I'm gonna get clean myself up. And was there any catalyst to motivate you to do that?
It was
The
really my
epiphany
son, you know what I
moment, you
mean?
know?
Yeah, yeah, it was really just my son all the way, you know what I mean? I just look at it like, I gotta break the cycle for him. I gotta, really just make it happen for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, he's even mind blown on some of the things that I've been accomplishing, recently. You know what I'm saying? But nah, it really started with him. And then I just look at it like, like he was really the main motivation. And then just speaking my story and speaking my truth. You know what I mean? That was another thing that I really just looked at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really the turning point. You know what I'm saying? And then, when
And how old was your son at that time?
My
That
son, say it
when you
again.
started to turn around?
He was probably about going on 2.
To
Yeah, he was
w-
going about 2 years old, and it was like it got to the point where I wasn't seeing him. You know what I mean? I was
yeah,
behind on child support. I was getting ready to go to jail over it. You know what I mean? I just said hell with it. You know what I'm saying? And then what really sparked the motivation was like, I got to do something because it's like damn, gives felonies to people like that don't pay child support. Oh shit! Like I didn't know this. You know what I mean? So I had to think of something. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
You know, I was off social media for like 2 years. I wasn't on no Facebook, no nothing, no MySpace, no nothing.
yeah,
So, anyways, after 2 years, I ended up checking my MySpace, and it was actually Tone Loc from Thiz Latin, and
yeah,
that's
Shout
what
out
really
Tone
was the
Loc.
turning point for everything.
yeah. For real, he's
You know what I
at
mean?
that. I see that back in the day. He used to have that van mobbing around all throughout the
I
Tone
was
state,
Loc,
in
yeah,
there.
he
popping up
OG.
everywhere.
Yeah, I was in there.
But I did want to say though, when you were talking about, how your son was the catalyst, I swear I got goosebumps right now thinking about the parallels, like the beginning of your story and talking about, your dad being addicted to drugs and how kind
Hmm.
of like you only got in touch with him when he was much older and
Hmm.
it seemed like not really much before he passed. I'm getting goosebumps right now
Correct.
just thinking about the parallels about that. So
Right.
I
Right.
think I think that's dope that you were able to do that where your son's still at a young age.
We got the most amazing relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like my son, he's 17 now. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? He's an honor student. He's set to graduate this year. You know what I mean? We actually currently live in Little Rock, Arkansas right now. It's cool. It's a cool little city. You know what I'm saying? He's progressing. He's doing great. I couldn't be any prouder.
yeah,
He's actually in the other room right now. You know what I'm saying? But nah, he's been the motivation for probably since the jump. You know what I'm saying? And the way I see it is that I got to be successful for him. You know what I mean? Because him and me and his mom, we really don't talk as much, you know what I mean, like we should. But it is what it is at the end of the day, you know what I mean? But as long as he knows that, he has a parent that is really striving for greatness, you know what I mean, and wants to be successful, it's gonna instill motivation into him and he's gonna be able to take it and run with it. And if he decides to have kids down the road, he can do the same, so on and so forth. Just breaking the cycle.
And yeah, you broke the cycle. You broke that curse, man. You know what I mean?
But yeah,
Give,
appreciate it, man.
giving him a better life.
Exactly.
yeah, and not having some of that trauma that you've
Exactly.
experienced,
Yeah,
Passed down.
be passed down to him instead of passing that down. You know,
exactly.
so that's something I think that is inspirational to me, and I think to
Appreciate it.
our viewers as well. So you talked a little bit about the bounce back where you started doing the music. So how'd
Mhm.
that go from that to now you have like the record label? So what was that
Well,
journey like?
it was very very interesting. You know what I mean? Because originally I started out the T4 Records. Really, it started out as me being in my complex. You know what I'm saying? It was Building T, Apartment 4. You get what I'm saying? So the inspiration actually from that came from around the time Gucci Mane was actually doing his 1017 Brick Squad thing, right?
Yeah,
And around that time, that was an era, man. I'm talking you couldn't you couldn't walk down the street and not hear Gucci Mane getting played in someone's car. You know what I mean? The radio is playing him like all the time. And like he was really doing his thing. He ended up bringing 1017. They were just killing it at the time. You know what I mean? So that inspired me to kind of like, yo, I'm finna put together my own joint. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Originally it started out as Spade Game Entertainment, you know what I'm saying? And the reason being is because we would like trap and play spades all day. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
the thing was is that it turned into T4 Records because, not because of that, you know what I mean? It really represents a struggle. You know what I mean? It did because, when I started T4 initially, I was struggling to keep lights on. You know what I mean? I was struggling to keep food in the house, struggling to, it really reminds me where I came from. You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
And the T4, you know what I mean? I'm you know, we had a lot of bumps in the road, you know what I'm saying? Throughout the years of me, just learning the business, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, when you in this business, it's going to be 10% rap and 90% business. You're going to be dealing with more business than you is making music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, for
no
sure.
questions asked, because
Yeah, for
your
sure.
product is going to be your business. You know what I mean? So the thing is that, I had to learn that. You know what I mean? I had to learn the importance of being independent, how it can be much more stressful than being a signed artist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What to do when you get those rap checks, you know what I'm saying? Where can you put it in for your promotion? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things of that nature, I had to really understand demographics. I had to understand, certain legal terms. I had to get my own lawyer, I had to get my own patent. And like this costs money.
Yeah.
The thing is that, when I meet an artist, in the moment that they say that they do this for fun, I'm completely turned off. And because I put up way too much money to be saying I do this for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
That's how I see it. You know what I mean? Artists might think otherwise from me, but as far as the T4 records goes, that's where the origins came from Atlanta. But the thing is that it got to the point where not only did I lock in distribution with Empire, but it's a non-exclusive distribution, and people who out there watching, they should know what that is. Basically, we've been talking to labels recently, and shout out Mike Lynn, from Virgin Music. We've actually been kind of going back and forth and trying to figure some things out and see where we can go from there. You know what I mean? This is one of the deals that I'm currently in working with as of right now. As far as the T4, I am open to bringing the label to a major. You know what I'm saying? It just got to make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as far as T4 Records, you mentioned that you had to learn, sounds like as you went along. Did you have anyone mentoring you, or did you just kind of, trial and error,
Yeah.
trials and
From mistakes
tribulations,
and
or
It
errors
both?
was
and
kind of
stuff.
a little bit of both, because originally when I was dealing with this Latin, I was dealing with Gold Toes. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the stuff that I was asking Gold Toes, you know what I'm saying?
Shout out Gold Toes.
Yeah, yeah, some I got toes, man. You know what
Shout
I
out to
mean?
Go Toes, yeah.
Hey,
We had a nice little fallout for like 10 years, but it is what it is. But
hey,
anyways,
no, but that dude, he's been wiggling up and
he
down
does his thing.
California, out in Texas, everywhere, popping up everywhere.
Yeah, that's
So,
my guy, bro.
Yeah.
Like
so
I
that
got nothing but
fool,
love for him,
he's
man.
definitely hustling.
He's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
hustler
So
for
I,
sure,
I, I
100%.
actually initially, when I came to this, that was originally who I started learning from. You know what I mean? So like when I was really starting to get active, in when I got over to this at the time, this is 2011, 2012. Turner was actually getting hot. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
he actually put out the White Album at the time. And I had the pleasure of meeting him. You know what I'm saying? And you Dan Daniels, okay, man. It's nice to meet you. This and that. Super genuine guy.
Yeah.
And this is around the time when Wiz Khalifa signed them. So I came in around that time. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting here, okay, so man, you talking to who toes? Okay, that's hard, bro. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's where it started. And then it went from that. And then, and then the big collabs started coming in. You know what I mean? He was one of the main reasons I started doing like bigger collabs and, out the Bay. You know what I mean? I do have records with Spice One. You know what I'm saying? I do have a Lucky Luciano record. I do have, some Texas, stuff going on too. You know what I mean? But, that's really who initially, you know what I mean, got my start was Gold Toes.
How'd you end up linking up with Gold Toes? Because he does the Thiz Latin Black and Brown, right?
Well, he does GT Digital now. So
Yeah.
basically around that time, Gold Toes was having Thiz Latin. Mind you, like I was saying, I didn't check my socials for like 2 years. I was completely in the streets. I was like not even worried about no social media, right? So when I finally checked my social media, I get a interesting voice mess, or not a voice mess, but a inbox from Tone Loc. So shout out my guy Tone Loc. He was the one that was like, "Dang, where you been, Cuddy? Man, we gotta link up, man. We need you, man. We starting these chapters with Thiz Latin, man. We need a Thiz Latin Atlanta, bro. What's happening?" You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
shit, let me hit him." So I'm like, I like he sent the message like I want to say like 5 months before I even checked it, and then I finally hit him back. I sent him my phone number. I was like, "Yo, hit me on this line."
Yeah.
So at the time, you know what I'm saying, I'm sitting here living with a stripper at the time. You know what I'm saying, in Atlanta. So I'm sitting here and like, "Yo, so you really want me on this? Like, what the hell? Like, you know what I'm saying? So this is crazy." So that's really how it started originally. You know what I'm saying? And then probably like 2 days later, I'm in the studio with Cartel MGM, who was signed to Gucci Mane and Waka Flocka, you know what I'm saying, and 1017 and Brick Squad and all that, you know what I'm saying? And man, we get right to work right away.
And so what was your experience like? Were you signed to this at the time then, or was it
Um,
just kind of like a
not
partnership?
contractual. We were getting ready to have a few conversations as far as, Gold Toe's actually giving me like a management situation, and he was gonna kind of sign me under management. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Originally, like this has not never been told, but originally, what Gold Toes was originally trying to do, he was trying to get me, Burner, and Lucky Luciano to do an album together. This has never been told. So he actually calls me one day and he's like, "Man, what you feel about Burner?" At first, I'm like, "Dude, this dude is." I used to think Burner was trash. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, "Dude, like, I'm not into this dude, man. He's not. I just can't get into him. Like, I'm not. It's not. It's not vibing right now for me."
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm
It
saying?
ain't your
But
shit. Yeah,
Lucky, I'm a very big fan of. You know what I'm saying? And nowadays he's doing Christian music, but back then he was very consistent. You know what I'm saying? And that was originally where it started was working with them, you know what I'm saying? And then Gold Toes, he basically was just like, you know, he actually tried to tell people that I was his cousin at one point. Like he was trying to do something to market me. Yeah, bro, I'm gonna tell people you my cousin. I'm like, what the fuck, huh? Like you just coming up with these random ass ideas. You know what I mean? I'm just like, man, you tripping, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. So basically, like working with this, man, it was actually pretty unique. You know what I mean? Because when I initially worked with Cartel, I heard of the name Cartel, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't realize who he was signed to. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like I looked him up and he had this song called what the hell was it called? I think it was called Ice or Chandeliers or something like that. I looked at it and he had the 1017 Brick Squad chain on. I'm like, holy fuck, am I gonna do a song with a Brick Squad member? This is crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So basically at the time he was actually being managed by Waka Flocka's mama, Deb Antney. So they actually set up the collab. Gold Toe set that up for me, and then he was just like, "Yeah, man, he's finna pull up to the man, this and that, the studio, and then he's finna pull up to the studio, man. Just get ready, man. Make sure you got, make sure you got your record together, man." Da, da, da. And I was like, "All right, bet," because I originally recorded my parts separately, so I went and shout out to my guy Willie Dutch. You know what I'm saying? I went to his spot in on the west side of Atlanta and we actually went and knocked it out. And it was a song called Over Hill Hustling. So this was the very first record that I ever put out. You know what I'm saying? Which is Over Here Hustling, and that was featuring myself, my guy Polo the Playboy. He was on the hook, and then Cartel MGM. So that was probably one of the first collabs I ever did with Diz. About like 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from Tone Loc. He's like, "Hey, Cuddy, what's up? Well, man, what you got going, man?" And we just, politic or whatever. So he hits me and he's like, "Man, I got this track. I want you to send me your email. I need to send this track over to you, man. They we're gonna try to get this going." So, anyways, it's a record with him. And no, it's not with him, but he sends me a record, and it's actually with Spice One and one of the other homies. I really can't remember his name, but anyways, it was the Spice One record, and I was
Yeah.
just like, holy shit, like, oh my god, like, what the hell do I do with this? Like, I'm sitting here tripping. I'm like, mind you, I'm still in my van. I'm still sleeping in my car. You get what I'm saying? So, because I
Yeah.
had a little van at the time, and I'm sitting here like, damn, bro, like I'm sitting here like sleeping in my whip doing the song with Spice One. This is insane. Like, what the fuck do I do? You know what I'm saying? So, I get in the studio and we ended up putting it out. Both records are out, by the way. You know what I mean? So, we ended up, they're on the platforms today. Matter of fact. So those are like really the two records that stand out to me the most. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do have records with basically every rapper you can possibly think of. You know what I mean? I worked with AP9 for Mob Figures back in 2006, 2007. You know what I'm
shout out to
saying?
AP.
Yeah, shout out my guy AP9, man. You know what I'm saying? I got
I
records
never
with
met
Juice.
him, but I seen him pull up a few times. Like I'll be at a show in San Jose. He pull up in a
Yeah,
fly whip, like I want to say like a Camaro or something. Like, but
yeah,
like a dope
yeah. He
Camaro.
lives in Vegas. He lives in Vegas, and I actually met his cousin. I did some music with his cousin named Kata Boy, and they're all out in Vegas. You know what I'm saying? He's from Oakland as well,
Crazy.
and I actually got to work with him in 2006, 2007 before everything went to shit for me, in regards to my addiction. So
Yeah.
I ended up doing music with him. I ended up doing stuff with Lucky Luciano, who was formerly of Dope House Records. You know what I'm saying? Originally, they asked me if I was interested on doing a song with South Park Mexican. I actually turned it down. That's originally how I got the song with Lucky, was because of the fact that, I was like, man, I'm not interested in SPM, bro. Like, I'm more interested in Lucky. What's up with him? You know what I mean? So Tozy
Yeah.
made that happen once again. I was fortunate enough. Crazy story about that is, I got two songs out. I got two songs out with Lucky, right? That is G Shit, and it's the Over Here Hustling remix with myself, Cartel, with Lucky Luciano. So if you actually go and look up his mixtape, this is the first placement I ever got on. You know what I'm saying? I didn't realize, you know what I mean, from an actual respected, you know what I mean, artist. You know what I mean? And I was the featured artist, was Lucky Luciano. He was on his Back from Vacation mixtape. So that was actually 2011, 2012. And then I ended up leaving Diz Latin because of some legal troubles that I was facing. It was really over a couple reasons. The main reason was because of my legal situation. I actually went on the run for about 13 months, and I really couldn't talk about too much of it on over the phone. You know what I'm saying? And I had to kind of like, kind of be low key for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? However, I went, going back and forth from Atlanta to California. That's exactly what I did. I went back to California at the time, and I just did my victory lap, I guess you can say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I ended up putting out a project called Trapping and Mobbing with me and my boy Polo. And that was initially going to be my debut with Diz. And that's another project that I have out on the platforms today. So, anyways, we ended up doing that project in about 3 days. You know what I mean? At the homie Willie Dutch's house on the west side. And basically, um, we were actually in the process of like really kind of like taking that project to a whole nother level. You know what I mean? Per se.
Yeah.
And we ended up locking in distribution with Ingrooves, which at the time was owned by a Universal, and we were just gonna really just make things happen, bro. You know what I'm saying? I ended up getting into some legal trouble in Atlanta, and it ultimately made me, skip town and get the hell on. You know what I'm saying? I went back to California, and it was kind of like it got more difficult. You know what I'm saying? Because I was, starting to get active as far as going to Modesto to go do shows and go link up with Casper Capone, because at the time he was on Thiz Latin Modesto. You know what I'm saying? And I'm starting to
Yeah.
get to understand who's who. You know what I mean? But it really got to the point where, you know what I'm saying, I dropped this remix called Mac Dre's Back, and it was on the Meek Mill and Rick Ross's Tupac Back, and it got so much traction. It was actually the most viewed remix that we had at the time. That was talking about Mac Dre. I had about 400,000 views on my video at the time before it got took down. You know what I'm
Dang.
saying? World Star Hip Hop was gonna post it. Like, I was
Yeah.
really gonna be that guy, but it just got to the point where it was just too much egos going on, too much pride, and it just like me and Gold Toes, you know what I'm saying? We just clashed too much to the point where it was just like, you know what, this is not working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not contractually obligated to owe you no projects right now. So we just need to part ways.
Yeah.
And we just respectfully, just parted ways. So overall it was a great experience, man. Like I had a lot of fun out there. You know what I'm saying? I got to kick it with Tone Loc a few times. This is a tattoo that is a Thiz tat, you know what I'm saying, that I actually got sitting right next to Mac Mall. You know what I'm saying? And
Dang.
I was at a meet and greet, and I had the opportunity to meet Mac Mall, and great dude, great guy. And you know what I'm saying? I ended up getting my tattoo, and he was sitting because he has a tattoo on his hand of a skull. I was actually sitting right next to him when he got it.
Dope.
Yeah,
Dope.
man.
So definitely a couple legends that you mentioned, Spice One, Mac Maw
Yeah,
from California.
right.
Three quick questions though. Kind of on a side note. So is Waka Flocka, is he from Atlanta?
Yes.
The next one was kind of touch back a little bit about Burner. You had the opportunity to get on a album with him. You passed on it sounds like, because that never happened, right?
Right. So basically, it was really a concept idea that Goldtoes was really kind of putting together, and he was just kind of like, man, I really want to put together like a 3-man group, man, or something like that, man. Take a guy from the Bay, take a guy from the A, and take a guy from the H. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And put together something, you know what I mean? Because, like I always tell people, you know what I'm saying, I may be from California, but you gotta keep this in mind. I left as a teenager. I don't know shit about no like Monterey County after that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So the thing
yeah.
is that like from then on, it's all Atlanta. It's kind of like, he was just like, man, you got to think about it, Dame. You know, there ain't no Mexicans in Atlanta doing your thing, and you if you link up with Burn and you link up with Lucky, man, you know what I'm saying? Like you gonna take this to a whole nother level, this and that. And I'm like, bro, like I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of Burner. I told him this. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I just can't get into him. You know what I'm saying? But like down the road, I'm a fan of his now, but it took a while for me to like really understand what Burner was doing. You get what I'm saying? Because it was just like I wasn't making the type of music Burner was doing. You get what I'm saying? Like me and Lucky were, but it wasn't like damn, like if I do the project, where like how's this gonna work? You get what I'm saying? So
The last thing, this is quick too, is did when you were out in Atlanta, you were communicating with this. Did any of the artists or Gotos ever come out and mess with you out there while you were in Atlanta?
Gotos did, yeah. Yeah. He did. I have spoken to quite a few artists, you know what I mean? Originally from Thiz, Casper Capone was one of them. I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of an artist from Oakland named Baby Gas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He's actually an artist from Oakland that I actually knew since he was like 15. And I know
gotcha.
Tone, there was one time when I was out in the Bay one time and I went to Antioch and he had a house in Antioch at the time. And I
Yeah,
was over there. I was laying stuff down with him. I believe Buddha Mac was there. And then little here comes Baby Gas. You know what I'm saying? And,
yeah,
he walked and he was actually one of the first people to reach out to me when I first got with this. Shout out to him. You know what I mean? I haven't talked to him in some years, but you know what I mean? Every time we spoke, man, it was always like me just politicking with him, like just getting the game from this youngster and vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Basically it was a lot of it was a lot of over the phone networking at the time, but at the time I'm really a do it yourself artist as well. So I really wasn't relying on Gotos a whole lot. I was
yeah,
really like, okay, I'm part of this. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna run into a goddamn someone from Cali and they gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Or
yeah,
I'm gonna go over to this goddamn CD press shop over in Duluth, over in the north side of Atlanta, and I'm gonna goddamn press up 100 copies. I'm gonna stand on the block and hand these out. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like that was the type of things that I was on versus like relying on Thiz to, you know, kind of bend over backwards from me. I don't want to say that, but kind of like, be on a hand and foot with me and catering to whatever I got going on in Atlanta. But I'm just like, nah, man, we got this because I already had like 4 or 5 people I was working with already outside of the Thiz thing. So we were already going hard anyways. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. Well, I think the whoever's interested in pursuing a career in the music business or rapping, producing, whatever, that it's a lot of times these opportunities are there, but they're not necessarily like spoon fed to you. So
right.
anybody that wants to get out there and get it, you know the the person that's out there creating the opportunities for themselves are the ones that are going to get the opportunities, right?
Right.
So you go from working with this, you mentioned you had a bit of creative differences with
Mhm.
Goto, so to speak.
Yeah,
And did you guys end up working that out?
absolutely. Originally, we didn't talk for about 10 years, you know what I'm saying? Up until I want to say like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
So there was a situation that happened. We're not going to really speak too much on that. You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure.
Goldtoes ended up reaching out to me. You know what I'm saying? Make a long story short, he was just kind of like, "Man, I didn't realize that you were doing all this on your own." Because at the time when me and him started talking again, you know what I mean? I was already meeting with major labels. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I want to say I already met with Atlantic Records when me and him, got back in touch with each other. And when I started last time I actually spoke to him was about maybe 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
yeah,
And I was talking to him a little bit more about like, me working with Maybach Music and the Evans administration and things of that nature. So that's when he was just kind of like, yeah, man, just keep me updated, Dime. You know what I'm saying? We can make it work because he is super connected, regardless of the differences that we had. You know what I mean? I'm willing
Yeah.
to put everything to the side. It is no problem with me. You know what I mean? I love Goto. That's my guy. It's big bro. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But it was just a big misunderstanding. You know what I mean? I did think honestly, like, there was a lot going on at the time, and we did speak about it, and like I told him, I was just like, man, I just think there was a lot of misunderstandings. You know what I mean? I just feel that at the time I really wasn't able to really give him what he wanted at that time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In regards art, with my artistry because of my legal situations and me going to California and trying to avoid getting arrested, if you get what I'm saying. But the thing is that everything's good between me and him. You know what I'm saying? He always hits me and what I mean, shoots me some clips that he's got on his IG or what I mean. I got his phone number. I can call him anytime. So.
I call him right now. No, I'm just joking. But I see if he picks up. No, I'm just joking. But no, I think that's dope because like anything, working with people, we do run into adversities, and
Exactly.
I think it's important to point out that that's where we have to put our egos aside and sometimes even be the bigger man and always keep it professional and not to
Absolutely.
burn bridges.
Yeah.
Things could be amended, so to speak. So I
Exactly.
think that's important for people to know. I think that as you learn, the more you get into the music business, the more connected people are, and the smaller the music business
Because at
appears
the
to
end of the
be.
day, your net worth is your net worth, or your network, and vice versa. Your network is your net worth. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It
So
works. It
Yeah, for
works either
sure.
way, man.
Starting the record label, what was that like? And I guess how did that evolve into kind of like when did that happen? By the way.
T4 originally started in 2018
Okay.
officially. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The concept itself, like I said, it was in 2007, 2008. But the thing about it is that I really went full fledged with it in 2018 when I was in AZ.
Got
And
it.
basically I had a gang of records, you know what I'm saying? Prior to that, I was actually working with my current manager right now by the name of Joseph Simmons. Basically, I was working on a project that was called Atlantafornia, right? And we ended up doing that project in 2014, and it took us about 2 years to do. And the reason being is because we wanted to make sure it was done correctly. You know what I'm saying? I look at it like, um, when I was doing the project, you know what I'm saying? One of the highlights that doing the project was working with Princess from Crime Mob. You know what I'm saying? And she's actually featured on my project Atlantafornia. And that was probably the artist that I can honestly credit that got Dame Daniels going. You know what I'm saying? In regards to, my career, my artistry, you know what I'm saying? The way that I deliver music, you know what I'm saying? That was the artist that really, you know what I mean, did it for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Basically, with in regards to the T4 records, you know what I'm saying? I always wanted to have a brand that was able to, you know what I'm saying, you know what I mean? Be able to, I can have a hub for, myself and other artists per se, for the most part. So the thing
Yeah.
is that, like if I did it, I want to always make sure I needed to know because I was always business savvy. I had a college education in business administration. You know what I'm saying? I want to say like right before I left Cali, because I went to Hartnell for a little bit and I
Hey,
went
shout
and
out
did
Hartnell
business.
though.
Yeah. Shout out to them. So basically I was like, you know what? I always had the mind of a hustler. So, like I've always looked at it like, I'm a sponge. I'm gonna take advice from anyone. I'm gonna ask questions. I'm gonna, do this, I'm gonna do that and the third. But at the same time, I'm not gonna sit here and expect anyone to hand this to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go get this myself. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, um, when I started doing the T4 things, the T4 records, and I launched it. It was 2018, Phoenix, Arizona. You know what I mean? I put out the record with Cartel. I started out with that, and then it just blossomed into like just me just putting stuff out consistently. Um, it, I wound up with 120 releases in like a 6-year time period type of situation. You get what I'm saying?
Damn.
So,
Yeah.
you know, that was very just me being consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's really where a lot of the people were like, yo, are you signed? Like you putting out way too much music. Cause like at the time, Phoenix is really fucking with me at the time, right? So, you know, shout out my guy Justice, you know what I mean? Over at Respect the Underground, DJ John Blaze, you know what I'm saying? You know, my guy Richie Evans, we're gonna get into in a little bit, you know what I mean? There's a lot of guys that that have made a name for themselves in Phoenix that have been paying attention to me, and they're like, yo, this kid Dame Daniels, man, from Atlanta, like, oh my God, like who he just came out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying? And you
Yeah.
know, that's where a lot of it came in because at the end of the day, consistency does play a big key in independent music.
Right. No doubt. So as far as T4 Records, what's the roster looking like on there?
Okay, so I got it's changed throughout the years, but as of right now, you know what I mean? I got uh 3 solid artists right now, you know, 2 I'm really pushing right now. That is my main guys, PAT the Dawn. You know what I'm saying? He's from Highland Park. He's from Little Rock, Arkansas, Highland Park, Piru. He just came home from doing 13 years. He left at 18, came home at 31. You know what I'm saying? He has the style of like Zero, Mo3. You know what I mean?
That's
He does
dope.
it
That's
all. You
dope.
get what I'm saying? He's one of the most talented individuals I ever met out of Arkansas. That is a fact. I have another artist by the name of Little Rock Red. You know what I'm saying? He's from the West End. You know, he's a vice lord. You know, one of the greatest, you know, individuals I've ever met from Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? He's got like the storytelling ability. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna tell you what life is like in Little Rock. He's gonna tell you what these streets is like. He's had
Yeah.
his fair share in legal issues, you know what I mean? And you know, but that's not really my MO on pursuing is pushing them in a negative fashion. And then
Yeah.
I also got another artist I've been knowing since I was about 16 by the name of Bliss Maximilian. And that's another guy that's from John Barrow. That's an area in Little Rock. And it's kind of like John Barrow is kind of like the equivalent to like East Salinas, like East Market a little
Gotcha.
bit. You know what I'm saying? So
Gotcha.
so you
Gotcha.
know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but these are some great guys, you know what I'm saying? These are very good, talented individuals. These guys are very, you know, representatives on the respected areas. You know what I mean? I took an interest in them really because of, you know, their talent, you know, for one, two, the fact that they're willing to learn. You get what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
you know, that's just a blessing within itself. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, like, but as of right now, those are the guys that I got right now.
Dope. Dope. And so we covered a lot. We covered the early Dame Daniel,
Hmm.
the kind of the trials and tribulations up into launching the record label. So almost up to date. So is there anything that of significance that we left out? If you
Okay.
could break that
So
down.
if you guys know about Crime Mob, right? And you guys ever heard the song Nuck If You Buck, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And you guys have ever heard that song, then you guys have probably heard Diamond and Princess. You know what I'm
Gotcha.
saying? I want to say this came out in 2004. You know what I mean? If you guys played the record, you probably have heard it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
This
for
is
sure.
a platinum selling artist that, you know what I mean, that is basically, you know what I'm saying, you know, like I said, she gave me an opportunity, you know what I mean, and the way that I met her was actually through my manager. And you know, at the time my manager, make a long story short, was actually her camera guy. And her camera guy was he was actually doing film work for her, you know what I'm saying, at the time. And basically he you know, was on tour with her a lot, you know, make a long story short. And basically you know, they just developed a great relationship, you know what I'm saying? And you know, we ended up working together, I want to say in 2015 when we ended up doing the song Shut 'Em Down. It was a song that me and her actually did for my project, my Atlantafornia project. And that was actually the first time that I ever got on the top 200 on Billboard. And
Nice.
I ended up, I think it was like on the low end. It was like 198 or something like that. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying? But
you
that
still
was
on
really,
there, bruh.
yeah,
You
yeah.
still
You
on
know, I
there.
was up
I
there with
don't
like Wayne, Kanye. I was like 2 Chainz, like, what the
You're
fuck
like,
is
hey,
this?
don't
hell
try to
But
yeah.
you
play
know, at
that
the
Don't,
same
down.
time,
yeah, don't play it down, dang.
Don't try to play that down, bro. Like, well, I wasn't number one, but like, bro, like shout out to Dame Daniels though, hitting the billboards though. For real.
Yeah,
Hit some water
but
off
yeah, that was
stage.
2014, 2015, no, 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we ended up doing the Mob in the Trap record. You know what I'm saying? That was the current record that we have now. You know what I'm saying? You know, that one right there, we almost have like a 500,000 streams right now.
There
So,
you go.
that was a record that, again, you know what I mean? That really just got me started with everything. You know what I'm saying? That was the song that really kind of like launched my career. You know what I mean? The Mob in the Trap
Crazy.
record. Basically, that was also the song that actually got me in front of Richie Evans and Rick Ross. So, that got the attention real quick. You know what I'm saying? Let's put it that way. So, but yeah, that was the record that we ended up doing, you know what I'm saying? But it actually started out, like I said, 15 years ago with me and Joseph Simmons, my manager, and he actually, like I said, he used to do camera work for Princess when she first broke from Crime Mob, the group. And then,
Gotcha.
they're reunited. They reunited now. They've been touring. They've been doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? But now it's just, back then it was like she broke and went solo, and then, you know, I ended up working with her, and I had the opportunity to make some great music with her. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna continue making some great music together. You know what I mean? But yeah, as far as the Mob and the Trap goes, you know what I'm saying? I actually have a remix coming out with her and Young Dro. So we're actually finna be putting that out pretty soon.
And so that was a pivotal moment in your career. And so nowadays, what's Dame
What's
Daniels got
popping
on
with
his plate?
Dame?
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually working with I'm working with Richie Evans, Rick Ross, and Maybach Music and the Evans administration, right? So basically we're putting together a compilation, you know what I mean? Very similar to how Ross did when he put out Self Made. You get what I'm saying? So
Gotcha.
we're
Gotcha.
actually, yeah, we're putting together a project like that. For starters, I am working on my debut project. You know what I mean? I do have I do have some shit. Let's put it that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some very big hitters. You know what I'm saying? Like even like I can't even believe that this is even happening. Type of thing, type of situation. You know what I mean? I have put out some merchandise with Ross um earlier this year. You know what I mean? He ended up launching a platform called Rap Arena. It's with him and Matty Ice. You know what I'm saying? They have a platform that they're really pushing, and and shout out to Matty Ice. Matty's doing an amazing job. You know what I mean? Putting together those events in Vegas, and you know what I mean, and really making things happen over there, man. And I gotta give a real big salute to Matty Ice. In like I said, just being able to say, you know what I mean. I went from, like I said, being an abandoned 7-week-old baby to working with the biggest boss in the game. So you know what I mean? That's a hell of a fire come up story if you ask me. Now, if people
For
want to know
sure.
who Richie Evans is, he used to be signed to the game. I don't know if you guys are
Crazy.
aware of Black Wall Street, or you know what I mean, or
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
fans of them. He had an artist by the name of Juice. The artist that he had, a Juice, he was from Phoenix, and he's actually known as Richie Evans today. So that's the guy that, kind of like took me under his wing and was like, yo, it's up, Dame. It's time. You know what I'm saying? That's who that's who I'm working with
You
currently.
saw the
You know what I'm
talent. You know
saying?
what I mean?
With them and stuff. You just guys gotta just stay tapped in, stay tuned in. You know what I mean? You guys are definitely gonna see some great things happen. But yeah, man, that's what I got going on, man.
What was your dream starting off with rap? Because mine personally was like, back then I'm gonna be on MTV and I'm gonna be on Cribs and whatnot. If you wouldn't mind share kind of like what your childhood dream of like what was gonna happen with the rap.
Well, the thing is that the rap, I've always looked at it like I wanted to I wanted to get myself out of the hood. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? That was really the dream. You know what I mean? I didn't know how I was gonna do it. I don't know when I was gonna do it. I just wanted to do it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? When I started losing a lot of my friends that didn't do music, and they were, going down for like murders and gang enhancements and things of that nature. You know what I mean? I was really kind of like at that point where it was like, you know what? Like I just want to make it out of the hood off this music. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to travel and do what I love to do, and being able to get on the stage and You know, nowadays it's like that. I'm able to go state to state and do my thing. You
Yeah.
know, I go and, you know, I have people, you know, coming up to my son. Hey, aren't you Dame Daniel's son? Hey, man, I'm a fan of your pops, man. Your pops is amazing, man. I love this music, man. You know, it's
Yeah.
happened
Yeah.
in multiple cities that we've been in. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's I feel like I fulfilled that dream because that's really what I wanted is just to be respected. You
Yeah.
know what I
There you
mean? I
go.
didn't want anything else but respect.
For sure. I guess with all that is as far as coming up to date and coming around, you know, from growing up and now being where you're at now.
Yeah,
I'm a I'm a big believer in speaking things into existence, right?
absolutely. Me too.
So if there's anything that you're aspiring for at this level that you haven't accomplished yet, that you'd like to on you know take the opportunity to speak into existence and share with us.
You know, I tell people this all the time, man. You know, like as an independent artist, I've done everything that I possibly can do as an independent artist, except gold platinum.
Got you.
That's
Got
it.
you.
That's all I want.
Yeah, so look out for that, you know, that Damon Daniels new platinum record coming out soon. You
You
feel
already
me?
know.
Well, I'm rooting for you, bro. I'm rooting
Hell
for
yeah,
you to
bro.
go,
Man.
hey, triple, quadruple platinum, like Tupac says. Hey,
Exactly. You know
for
what I
real
mean?
though.
And I got homies that got certified records, man. So you know what I mean? I'm like, man, I need one of them.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah, I
I'm
feel
saying?
it.
Shout out my guy Max Manny. He did the love song record for Rihanna and Future. You mean he got a Grammy for that? He's a producer, but I tell it like every time I talk to him, I'm like, bro, like that's inspiring, bro. Like you know
Yeah,
what I mean? And then you just
Yeah.
not we're not even talking about music. How's our kids doing? You know what I mean?
yeah, for
Yeah.
real. Well, man, I'm glad to see that you're in a good place now, having
Absolutely, man.
success, well earned, you know, hard work pays off. And so
Absolutely.
I know we covered a lot. If there's anything that we missed, I mean, it'd be a good opportunity. Any shout outs?
Man, shout out to my team, man. Shout out to PAT the Dawn. Shout out to Lil Rock Red, Bless Maximilian. You know, Richie Evans, what's happening? Rose, what's up, man? Shout out to whole MMG, man. TEA, Maybach, what's up with it? Matty Ice, what it do, man? Be on the lookout for that new Damon the Dawn. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that duo project we got coming, man. You know what I'm saying? Rob Lowe, what's happening? 7, what's good? Little Rock, Arkansas, Atlanta, Georgia, Monterey County, man. Linus, what's happening? We here.
Representing.
Linus.
Yeah, hell yeah. So
Fuck with me, man. Fuck with us.
with that being said, I don't know, you got anything else, Stevie Ray? Because just like how I like to start off with the icebreaker, I like to wrap it up with the icebreaker. But you got anything else? You know, we covered a lot. Anything that kind
Shit,
of
I don't
piqued your
really got
interest?
I don't really got nothing else, but the only thing I gotta say is like once again, man, I think we said it off camera actually, but I just want to say it on camera too. Like, you know, hey man, I appreciate you sharing the story. I appreciate you coming through on the platform. You know what I mean? We got
Hey, no
really in
doubt.
depth on this one. I think
Yes,
people
sir.
are gonna get like, you know, they're gonna get gamed up, you know what I mean, with certain things when
Mhm.
it comes on, you know, what you have to go through to get to a certain point. You know what I mean? And yeah, man,
Yeah.
salute, man. Salute to you and your camp, brother.
All right, man. I appreciate you. Likewise, man.
Hey, anyone tuned in, you're gonna learn today though. Hey, for real, you're
You
gonna learn
gonna
something
learn
from this.
today, boy.
All right.
Uh,
All right. So all right, let's do a fun one, okay? Let's do a fun one for the
For the one
finale
time. For the
icebreaker
one
here.
time.
All right, so all right, you already did this one, Steve Ray, so I'm gonna pick a new one. So if aliens landed on Earth tomorrow and offered to take you home with them, would you go? And why?
Like today,
Yep, like aliens come down and they're like, would you like to come home with us? Hey, would you go
wait,
and why or why not?
that's a good question right
damn.
there, man. I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, cause there's this little alien, you know what I'm saying, named Space God the Thug on social media right now. You know what I'm saying? He's making it a little interesting to go with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just talking shit,
Mm.
but not like I mean, honestly, I'm very spontaneous, you know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't mind going.
Same. I just want to see like the technology and shit. Like see what because they obviously know shit that we don't know. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's another thing
You
I
know
was
what I
gonna
mean?
say,
So
y'all.
yeah, yeah.
I'll be a little reluctant, honestly. I'm the glass half empty kind of person. So I'll
Yeah.
Got
just
you.
be
Got you.
like, I'll be like, bro, I don't know about this. You know, I've heard some crazy stuff, you know, like we see it on TV. So,
Yeah.
you know, those horror stories would probably pop out. But, you know, yeah, why not, right? You only live
Right,
once.
right.
Exactly.
And
You know what I mean?
and what if they were only extending that opportunity to you and you're just like, why not, bro? Let's go.
Right,
Let's
Exactly.
find
right,
out. Let's find out, right?
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. Well, I mean, that's all I got for you. And just want to thank you again, man. We really appreciate you. And
Hey, likewise, man. Thank y'all.
man, a lot of this stuff I never knew, and I'm glad to have you on here, and I really appreciate you, bro.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man, for real.
Hell yeah,
Appreciate
bro.
you guys, man.
Appreciate you, Dame.
Hey, no doubt.
All right, well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Episode 3 Under Wraps, Dame Daniels, Stevie Ray. All right, man. Peace.